Good evening and welcome to the ITV News in London. Tonight's main stories. Tower Hamlets Mayor Lutfur Rahman guilty of electoral fraud. The results of last year's race is now declared void. Vote rigging, widespread corruption and illegal practices were driven by the ruthless ambition of one man. The 2014 election will be run again. Rahman is now banned from seeking office. And in other news, a woman has been treated in hospital after falling down a sinkhole that appeared in Fulham. Good evening from Crisp Street Market in Tower Hamlets in East London. Just like many parts of the capital, it's an area full of diverse cultures and communities, reflected by the various traders that work from here. But Tower Hamlets is an area that no longer has Lutfur Rahman as mayor. As of this afternoon, he was stripped of that title, having been found guilty of corruption in relation to his re-election last year. The election commissioner said that Mr. Rahman had driven a coach and horses through election law and declared the 2014 result void. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the story.
It has taken 11 months, but Lutfur Rahman's political opponents have finally wiped the smile off his face. In May 2014, Rahman's supporters treated him like a returning messiah in the wake of his re-election. But now the mayor of Tower Hamlets has been turfed out of the town hall by a judge who declared the election void. It followed a unique court case brought by 4 voters who risked financial ruin. 3 of them were in court today to taste victory.
He knew there was industrial scale fraud going on and it was a disgrace to British democracy and we weren't going to have it, and it's beginning to change. The town hall has been run by gangsters and today they're being thrown out of the town hall.
The court was told voters in Tower Hamlets were intimidated, impersonated, bribed and lied to. Rahman's main rival, Labour's candidate John Biggs, was smeared as a racist. It was untrue and under election law illegal.
Will you stand again?
I would love to stand again. It depends on what the Labour Party wants to do. But I'd love to be a candidate, yes.
What are your feelings towards Rahman?
I don't know him very well. I think he's been found to be an unprincipled fellow.
Rahman's evidence to the court was torn to shreds by the judge, Election Commissioner Richard Morey QC. Faced with a straight question, he proved himself almost pathologically incapable of giving a straight answer. In 1 or 2 crucial matters, he was caught out in what were quite blatant lies. The judge said the most troubling aspect of this case was the way Muslim voters came under spiritual pressure. They were told it was their religious duty to vote for Rahman. He not only played the race card, he played the religious card. He drove a coach and horses through election law and he didn't care. Rahman wasn't in court for the judgment. Council officials said he wasn't at the town hall either. He's been replaced as mayor by his deputy, for now at least.
We are shocked by the ruling. Lutfur Rahman strongly denies all allegation against him. He is now with his legal team exploring all the legal avenues available to him.
Ministers, meanwhile, suggested the acting mayor could also get the chop.
Under normal circumstances, the deputy would take over, but of course he was appointed by the mayor and we're checking on the legality of that.
Rahman has always denied any wrongdoing. This is what he told me in July.
There has been no intimidation, there has been no fraud.
So there is nothing rotten in Tower Hamlets?
There's nothing rotten in Tower Hamlets. We have a fantastic borough.
Brick Lane restaurant owner Azmal Hussein, one of the voters behind the case, said his family had been threatened.
My car at night been smashed, then windows, then the telephone calls and friends, family, even they said my children is a half caste.
Tonight, Lutfur Rahman's 5-year reign at Tower Hamlets is over. There's to be a fresh election. He's banned from standing again. Simon Harris, ITV News at the High Court.
Well, the former deputy and now acting mayor, Oliur Rahman, joins me now. Thanks very much for joining us here this afternoon. Have you spoken to Lutfur Rahman today?
No, I haven't. Well, I know he's resting, taking everything in and exploring his legal options.
Well, it's bizarre that for a man that always had so much to say has been incredibly quiet today. I mean, is he at home? Where is he hiding out?
Well, he's not hiding. He's always been quiet. He's the man who just likes to get on with the jobs and deliver services for the residents of this borough. That's what he has been doing. But I should also say this judgment has come as a surprise to many. Mayor Lutfur Rahman he strongly denies any wrongdoing. He has full faith in the legal systems of this country, and he's exploring all his legal options.
Well, obviously, the judgment today, they're incredibly harsh, both on him and also party which you're a member of, Tower Hamlets First. I mean, where does that leave you now, considering you are now acting mayor?
Well, I'm still the deputy mayor with the executive powers, but my job is to also to continue with the services, make sure the residents of this borough don't see any difference. The housing, the educations, all of those issues are far more important in a way for the residents of this borough, and we have to continue providing the services to people of this borough.
But it's true, though, that Eric Pickles, Community Secretary, is perhaps looking at a way in which you could possibly be taken from that job as a result of what the judge has said in regards to Tower Hamlets First, because, you know, you were brought into office by a man who it's been proved was involved in corruption in relation to his re-election last year.
Well, the thing is, I think we have to be a little bit careful here. There was 45 councillors elected on that day. If you're saying that some of the councillors' election is void, how do we know that some of the people who voted for me or my colleagues didn't vote for the Labour councillors or the Conservative councillors for that matter?
But we are specifically talking about your role, though, because it is a difficult situation to be in, considering that the mayor, who is a part of your party, was proven to be involved in corruption, and you are now acting mayor.
I met with the commissioners appointed by Eric Pickles this afternoon. They seem to be very happy. There is
but they are seeking legal action, though.
There is a local government act who instructs the deputy must act in where mayor is not available for whatever reason that may be, and that's the job I'm doing. Obviously, if there is a concerns comes from Eric Pickles or anybody else, he might not be a Secretary of State after 7th of May.
No, however, but that's a completely different situation. We are talking about your role here.
So obviously that's the matter when and if and when get raised, we'll deal with it.
OK, well, we shall see, and we'll see, of course, when these new mayor elections will actually be taking place. But Oliur Rahman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Lutfur Rahman's divisive method of ruling sought to alienate the Bangladeshi community from others within Tower Hamlets. The ruthless ambition that the election commissioner spoke of saw Mr Rahman awarding grants to his supporters and stopping money from other charities. Our senior correspondent, Ronke Phillips, has been getting reaction from local people here.
Did you hear about the mayor as well?
As news of the ruling spread, the issue dominated conversation among locals at Roman Road Market.
The rumours going around that he did actually favour what the Bangladesh, what the families and the individuals, but for other race, he was very biased in his views, biased in his actions.
Tower Hamlets has one of the highest ethnic minority populations in the capital, and the former mayor is accused of manipulating the large Bangladeshi community for his own ends and alienating them from other ethnic minority groups. You didn't have to go far to find evidence of the divide among the people of the borough today.
He is for the Bangladeshis. We're the losers in all this.
I think he's a very good mayor. He's done a lot for the community, especially multiracial issues.
Emran Chowdhury has been living in Tower Hamlets for 15 years and met the mayor several times when he had housing problems. He believes Rahman was not the problem. He says it was the people he surrounded himself with.
I really liked him. He's a nice guy. I met him a couple of times. But the people with him, some of the people, not everybody, but I don't want to mention the name, were very bad experience from them.
Rahman also stands accused of slashing grants to some charities so he could boost his popularity by funneling the cash to other groups. Joshua Peck has been a councillor in the area for 9 years.
Rahman has deliberately tried to be a very divisive influence in what is a very good place to live. Tower Hamlets is a great place to live with a very diverse community, but Lutfur Rahman has sought to use that diversity to his advantage.
The election commissioner said the real losers in this whole affair have been the citizens here in Tower Hamlets. It's hoped the judgment and the re-election would allow whatever cultural divides the former mayor created to finally start to heal. Ronke Phillips, ITV News, Tower Hamlets.
Well, I'm joined now by the returning officer, John Williams. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. How does an area begin to recover from this?
Well, I think it's about building confidence. I'm working with the police in any case with a very strong package of measures for security of the current general election campaign that's underway. And we have in place reporting mechanisms for any fraud allegations that come through to ensure that those are investigated thoroughly. Presence of police at all the polling stations, in any case on May the 7th, and that will continue through for the mayoral election that we'll now be holding in June.
Well, I mean, understandably, the community may well be a little bit concerned about just how the legalities almost of the upcoming elections in May, just to ensure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again. Can you ensure them that it'll be okay this time?
Yes, I mean, I was very pleased today that the judge specifically made mention of my team in his judgment, made it clear that there was absolutely no criticism of the returning officer staff, and that the election, for our part, we managed the election in a fully proper and professional way, and that will continue through the elections that are coming, and the people of Tower Hamlets can be confident that we've got arrangements in place to ensure that any allegations of fraud are investigated.
Is there anything that you would have done differently last year?
No, I think we had a strong series of measures in place last year, but clearly we've learnt lessons, and I'm sure the police have too, that we can make those measures even better this time round, particularly at the polling stations on the 7th of May and then at the mayoral election.
OK, well, John Williams, thank you so much for joining us. Well, we're going to join, we've got another guest with us now. We have the Labour candidate from last year's election, that's John Biggs. Thank you so much for coming. So you ran against Lutfur Rahman last year. I mean, what are your thoughts as a result of the judgment today?
Well, it's quite an astonishing judgment. I thought, and some of my colleagues thought, that he'd probably lose, but it was such a comprehensive indictment of his behaviour that it's going to send shockwaves through the borough. But hopefully it'll be a positive thing, and people will recognise that we just need to move on and get decent politics into the place.
And but you were in the spotlight as well, weren't you, over the course of this?
Well, OK, yes, and as part of this, of course, he made repeated allegations that I was a racist and therefore people shouldn't vote for me. He repeated this again and again, particularly with the Bangladeshi community. Now, I know that I'm not. I'm proud of my record in standing up in the community. And it was quite disgraceful and unprincipled behaviour, and the judge found that that was the case. So obviously I'm very pleased to see my name cleared by this. But what's more important, though, is that we move forward as a borough, because we're a multi-racial, multi-faith borough, and we need to be a single community, because we've got so many opportunities here, a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah. Well, as John Williams said earlier, they are going to do mayoral elections in June. So will you be standing?
I'd love to stand again, yeah, but it's up to my parties to decide. I suppose there may
Would you like to start?
Yes, I'd like to stand again. There may be an element of justice, I guess. If people feel that I was robbed of the opportunity of victory last time, then maybe another chance would be worthwhile. But let's see. OK,
well, John Biggs, thanks so much for talking to us. Well, that's all from us here at the market for now. But with the rest of the day's news, we can join Lucrezia Millarini in the studio.
Thank you, Charlene. A woman has been treated in hospital after falling into a sinkhole. The hole appeared when a section of the pavement collapsed outside a cafe in North End Road in Fulham. Ria Chatterjee reports.
The person who tweeted this picture called it Fulham's Great Sinkhole. Another passerby took this one, adding the caption, "She's stuck down there." Stall holders across the road rushed over to help. How did she?
Our main headline in London this evening, the Mayor of Tower Hamlets, Lutfur Rahman, has been stripped of his office after a judge found him guilty of corrupt and illegal practices. The judgment means last year's election has been declared void, and Mr Rahman will now have to pay court costs of up to £1 million. Well, we can now return to Crisp Street Market in Tower Hamlets. Charlene.
Thanks, Lucrezia. Well, our political correspondent Simon Harris is here to talk more about what's been happening today. So what next for Tower Hamlets, Simon?
Well, the first thing is that Lutfur Rahman has to make an immediate payment of £250,000 towards the estimated £1 million cost of this court case. Then there's the question of whether he should be prosecuted. Rahman was found guilty by this civil court of corruption, in effect bribing Bangladeshi voters by handing out council grants illegally to various community organisations. Now, the police are under pressure to open a new investigation to see whether any criminal offences have been committed. And finally, not least, there is, of course, the issue, small matter, of another election. Now, we heard from John Williams, the returning officer, a little earlier. He, by the way, was cleared of any wrongdoing by the court. He has now started the process of trying to arrange a date for the next mayoral election, which Lutfur Rahman cannot stand in. Now, There are 35 days in which he can agree the date and carry out the process. We understand that the most likely date for the mayoral election here in Tower Hamlets to be rerun will be May the 11th. It's all about to start again. New campaigns, new candidates, another election straight after the one that we're just about to see in 2 weeks' time.
All right, Simon, thank you very much. Well, that's it from the London team for now. We're back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, it's the national and international news with Alistair Stewart and Mary Nightingale. But from everyone here in Crisp Street Market and Lucrezia in the studio, goodbye and thanks for watching.